Wow, that door is unnecessarily massive. What's going on, Miss Miller? You would think maybe a different NPC would be waiting here.
See you here.
Oh, Constable Zoner. I heard what happened to you on board. Awful. Truly awful.
All's well that ends well. You are waiting for Professor Lucien?
Mm-hmm.
Tomorrow you'll be sailing down the Nile, if I heard correctly.
That's right. I'm sure it will be an amazing experience.
But you don't seem to be very excited.
Oh, but I am.
You know what?
It's very generous of Lady Westmacott to invite me.
I've been relatively harsh on this game.
But
well,
gonna give it some credit right here.
Offered to join us.
Audio echoing in this big room.
And I'm sure
it's nice. Nice touch. Good job.
No.
You get a thumbs up. Thumbs up of approval.
I just don't know how Maddie would react if Edgar came with us.
I understand. I could test the water to see how he'd feel about it.
No, that's not your job.
Thank you, Constable Zoner.
I don't want to talk to Ron Weasley again.
Were you able to find out why Professor Lucien left the forecastle so suddenly last night?
No, not really. We only had a brief conversation. He was still very nervous.
He was like that on the train as well. Seems to be typical of him.
It must be something to do with the burglary at the museum. It really affected him. But he told me not to worry about anything. He said, soon this would all be over.
Really? How did he mean that?
Oh, I didn't ask him, Constable.
Very, very, very clever of you to not ask that question.
Ship here?
Oh, yes, we arrived as a group. David Kreutzer, the violinist, was with us. So were Miss Myers and Mr. Inch. He seems to have gotten over the death of the Baroness pretty quickly. He seems positively relaxed.
I've met him. He looks on the bright side of life, so to speak. Where is Mr. Kreutzer?
He's over in the treasure chamber. Maddie is downstairs in the main hall. I'm afraid I'll hear the sound of something priceless shattering any second.
Matt will be careful.
Well, you're doing a great job of not keeping an eye on your son. Mother of the Year award.
Yes, there's so much to see.
What's in here? Let's go here.
Locked.
Dang it. Alright. Let's follow the rugs. Rugs always know where to go. You know what? Let's talk to New Guy. I never get to talk to... It's been a while since I've got to talk to New Guy.
Well-trained guards are usually the best security system, although they didn't manage to stop the Raven in London. The gala will be crawling with guards tonight. The local police might also send some reinforcements. Exclusive and unique. The eyes of the Sphinx exhibited together for the first time ever.
Except for that time where they were before.
Will be satisfied with a single eye. Otherwise, all this effort will be for nothing.
Well, that's rude. Look at newspaper. Oh, it's on the bench. I thought I was just going to pull it out of the trash.
Picture of Legrand. It shows an energetic young man photographed from beneath against the sky. That's the look of a man who can catch a thief and murderer in a single day. I don't believe that Legrand spoke to the press himself. He doesn't seem to like the attention, and he wouldn't falsely take credit for something he hadn't done.
It's true, you know.
Mr. Kreutzer will provide the background music tonight at the opening. Does he have anything else on his agenda?
Stealing more purses. No.
How are the acoustics, Mr. Kreutzer?
Average. I wouldn't have expected anything else from a big stone cabin.
I mean, it's kind of weird that they, I don't know, one violin player is not that much of a music for a show like this.
Didn't have an alibi. It was your gun.
I must admit that I can imagine better ways to spend my time than being roughed up by Inspector Legrand. Your snooping actually paid off for me this time. Did you ever suspect me?
Of murder? No. I think you're too intelligent to shoot someone with your own gun without arranging an alibi for the time of the crime.
I mean, that makes
it seems like a lot
this,
of the passengers
you know, so-called legendary thief seem like a real dummy.
I had a brief conversation with the Baroness's butler. Between you and I, he seems quite happy to be rid of the old battleship.
Mr. Kreutzer.
Young Miss Mayers was here as well. Unfortunately, it seems like she's already disappeared again.
Forget it. She's engaged.
And the old witch with her caretaker and her brat are also here.
What do you have against Lady Westmacott?
The lady is more callous than the Queen of the Night. She chased her own son away. Ice cold. I met him briefly. Flew to America because he couldn't stand her anymore.
Did any of the guests behave suspiciously? Was anyone unusually interested in the treasure chamber or the security system?
I couldn't say. I'm here to check the acoustics and then I'll come back for the gala tonight. I'm not interested in your detective games.
Yeah.
The newspaper this morning is full of reports about the events on board.
I've seen them.
Someone must have informed the press directly from the ship. He probably got a pile of money for the story, don't you think?
And again, they want to ruin my reputation. But no, Constable, it wasn't me. I didn't even consider it, and whoever did it was a bungler.
Why?
The story is in all the papers. You get more money if you sell the dirt to just one paper, as an exclusive.
Who do you think it was?
The young guy? The stowaway?
The captain didn't press charges and let him go this morning. But up until then, he was in the cell the whole time.
Perhaps Miss Mayers.
You know,
maybe she wants to become an actress and needs a bit of publicity.
Whoever it was, they wanted to make sure that the story
I feel like the
spread,
script for this game could have been maybe shaved down a smidge.
Well, I'm looking forward
I mean,
to
I've said enough. Zelmer repeats himself all of the time. But even that, everyone just seems
I like that golden signet ring with a
wordy.
scarab made of jasper. In ancient Egypt, these beetles were regarded as symbols of fertility. Nowadays, we just call them dung beetles. I suppose the beetles don't really care.
No, I don't think they do care. But maybe they do. You know, that's the problem with today's society. We don't think about the beetles enough. Do you remember Beetleborgs?
Kreutzer would be the perfect thief. He's fit, charming, knows the right people. No wonder he was at the top of Legrand's list. On the other hand, the best thieves are people that no one would ever suspect. The uninteresting, the meek, the ones who are always overlooked.
I think to a certain extent everyone is overlooked.
Unfortunately, now it's just the eye of the Sphinx. But it's a bit too late to change the banner.
No, it's not. Just get up there with your crayon and mark it down yourself.
Well-trained guards are usually the best security system, although they didn't manage to stop the Raven in London. That must be the treasure chamber where the Eye of the Sphinx is due to be exhibited. The display case is already prepared.
Well, toodaloo. No, come on.
That must be the...
Alright. I forgot I have to click on the entrance. I can't just...
No, sir.
Can't just walk out the door.
Swiss police. I want to check the security arrangements.
No one may enter the treasure chamber before the delivery has arrived.
Well, that's just plain rude. Well, it's this way. The same thing. Nothing. Alright. Cool. Guess I can't go that way. Can I go down here? I guess I could. The option did not present itself before. So good thing I went to the dead end first, I guess. Alright, what can I look at? What can I get Zellner to yammer on about? What about boat? Can you look at boat? Nope, you really don't want to look at that. Oh, is that Lady Westmacott I see over there in the corner?
Ah, I've heard of this.
dirt.
Desert glass. In the great sand sea of the Libyan desert, there's a region where natural glass is found. Nobody knows how it formed. The valuable material was often used for jewelry in ancient Egypt.
What about these? Nothing. What about these? Also nothing. These guys over here, they look pretty interesting. Also, nothing. Crazy.
Several daggers in a
Ooh,
row. The
knives.
shapes and patterns look timeless. Elegant.
You know what? I get this is a museum,
What
so
does it say
a little
here?
different scenario here, but growing up I had a handful of friends who were always
The dagger
obsessed
on the
with
left is a
collecting knives.
replica of the
Could never
dagger
get into
from
it.
the
Not my
tomb of
thing. They look
Tutankhamun.
cool, but
It must have been
I've got nothing
incredibly
against
precious during his
just
lifetime because it's
keeping
made
them
of
in
iron.
a fantasy
Thousands
game.
of years before the Ice Age, meteorites were the only source of pure iron. So a star that fell from the sky, bringing a substance that's harder than anything they'd known before, would have been a dramatic event. No wonder
yeah,
they used
it
to
wouldn't
forge a
matter
weapon
if-
for the godlike
if it
pharaoh.
was made of bananas, it came from the sky. That still blows people away today, let alone hundreds of years ago.
Impressive, isn't it? Thousands of years old and still beautiful.
That it is. They dug it out of the sand near Thebes over 50 years ago.
You know, they say when you
Really?
I met my
see this kind of
husband
history,
there.
you
He
do
was an
feel
assistant
different
on the dig,
about
and
seeing
was
it in
ordered by
person.
the director of the
And I am kind of
excavation
curious,
to
'cause
take
I haven't
care of
really
that
been to any
right.
museum
I financed many
that's
excavations
that
in the
great.
following years. Here in
So
Egypt
I've never had
and in
that,
the Near East. I visited my
I don't know,
husband
rush of history.
together with our son. It was the best
I've mostly
time
just
of
seen a
my
lot of
life.
skeletons.
But a museum is
But
no
those are
place for
cool.
Nostalgia. What can I do for you?
You've had a long and successful
Let's
life,
just
Lady
hit
Westmacott.
every option as is the way I do things.
To leave the stage because I'm not.
Oh, I didn't want...
I'm here because life is here, Constable.
Oh wow.
Or was. I have never lived as much as I have here. No fame, no money can buy that.
I understand.
I'm sorry, Constable Zellner. Such an outburst isn't fitting for a woman of my age. And an English woman at that. Let's talk about something else.
Ah yes, British people and their not being able to show emotions.
Your son. You haven't said much about him. Or perhaps you did. Just not by name.
You're an attentive listener, Mr. Zellner.
I was wondering why you knew so much about Miss Miller's unhappy marriage.
I stopped paying his bar tabs. Stopped paying reporters to hush things up. He got to know her and went with her to America to start a new life. You can change your name easily, but not who you really are. He has my eyes, doesn't he?
The Part 2 novel is for him.
No, he doesn't
If
actually.
I can provide Matthew with a good father, then at least I can provide him with a good start in life.
When I was working on the ship, I felt like one of the detectives in your novels.
You were lucky. It was an unusual murder. Most murders happen in the heat of the moment or are committed by idiots. They're uninspired. But Gebhardt thought it through. He could have succeeded.
I don't know. He made too many mistakes.
He couldn't have known that the Baroness, almost unconscious from the drugs, would lock her cabin door.
But that was
I
a
mean,
risk.
most people when they go to the room, they
plan
do indeed
was
lock
too
their door. It's a pretty
complicated
safe bet.
And sloppily executed.
You certainly are a harsh critic, Mr. Zellner.
He could have shot her on the side deck and thrown the weapon into the sea. With no witnesses, no one would have suspected him.
How boring.
Or if it had to be a complicated plan, then he should have worked more carefully. Should have thought of everything, had a plan B in place.
Maybe he didn't have enough time. He had only a few hours to plan and commit the murder.
Still, he should have covered his tracks more carefully.
I mean,
Audio tape, the bloody glove.
whose
None of
side
that
are
should
you
have
on? You
stayed in
can't
the
be
medical
like,
center.
oh man, that murderer, he should have done his job better. Yeah, no, he murdered
Do
somebody.
you think that Dr. Gebhardt was the Raven?
Was. Do you think he's dead?
The letter sounded like he committed suicide.
There's your answer. Does that sound like the Raven? Being unmasked? Taking the easy way out?
My sentiments.
No,
exactly.
but that doesn't.
The Raven
That might not sound like the
murder,
Raven,
get
but it does
caught,
sound like
and
a
then
quitter.
jump into the sea.
And that
You
does
don't
sound
want
like the
everything to be
Raven.
over, do you?
It's my chance to do something.
I guess I'm saying
great.
it sounds like the
It
Raven.
can't be over yet.
At least you solved the murder of the Baroness. You're a hero.
That's not how the newspapers see it. No,
I want fame
Some
from my
things
crime
missing.
solving,
I can achieve more.
not justice.
Careful,
That's
Constable.
silly and
Who
antiquated.
flies too close to the sun?
Is that the myth of Icarus?
To be honest, no. The story is Greek, and was only written down 1,000 years later. I was counting on the dramatic effect.
Oh,
Oh, well, it
worked
failed.
well enough.
Well, I guess for once Zellner and I disagree.
Let's assume that the thief is still out there. Who is he?
If all this were a novel, then it would be the one you least expect.
Is that intended to be a confession, Lady Westmacott?
What do we know about the new Raven?
He's a man who would stop at nothing.
I'm
Must it
going
be
to
enough?
throw this game
And
at a
how do we know
window
that it's just one person? There could be
if he
several
mentions
people
the new
connected
Raven
to the
again.
Raven.
So, we don't know anything.
That's not completely true. We know that he or she wants
I think my
the Eye of
only
the Sphinx,
beef
and
with
will
it
probably
is
strike here, assuming he or
is
she
as a
hasn't already
player,
It may be
I
the end
don't
of the
feel.
story for me, Lady Westmacott.
I feel like there's something up,
Inspector
but like
Legrand will arrive soon and send me to
I don't know.
the
I
hotel.
don't care about the Raven.
I return tonight
So if there's
for
a
the
new
gala,
one or an old one,
hoping
I'm
all the
pretty
while
indifferent
that
to
the
it.
Raven does dare to attempt a
And it's
burglary.
because
Tomorrow morning I'll have to
I don't know.
return to Switzerland. What an
Zellner can't seem to pick a side, so I don't know how to feel.
ending that would be.
I don't know where I'm supposed to feel about it. Because he keeps saying like, "Oh, I hope he gets
still be alive, Constable.
like, oh, he's so great. I hope he never gets caught, but also I hope I
Will
catch
you
him."
attend the gala tonight, Lady Westmacott?
But of course, the antiquities, the delightful atmosphere, and who knows? Perhaps there will be another spectacular.
What are
burglary.
with these?
And your
What
cruise.
are you
The ship
people?
doesn't leave until tomorrow.
You can't say
And believe
that.
me, I'd cancel the cruise for this.
As always, it was an entertaining and enlightening chat.
these
Lady
people.
Westmacott.
I'm going
Twitch.
to miss our little chats,
And you too.
Constable Zellner. Goodbye.
These people always giving credit to them criminals.
A figure of Imhotep who comes in peace from around 2700 BC. The
Wow.
first polymath known by name. Godfather of medicine.
I don't know what a polymath
architect
is.
of the first
Probably
pyramids,
should.
And according to legend,
I don't.
the inventor of Egyptian writing. He certainly achieved more than me in his life.
Wait, was Matt always there?
He was a
Did I just
legend.
not notice him
The
standing there the
Greeks
entire
called him
time?
a god. The Romans still honored him 3,000 years after his death. Even today, scholars offer a drop of ink to Imhotep when they begin a new project. Really impressive. This is Akhenaten, the only pharaoh whose
Akhenaten? You mean
portrait I
Anakin
always
Skywalker?
recognize. He has a very
Great
unusual
Egyptian
head.
pharaoh Anakin Skywalker?
Akhenaten was the husband of Nefertiti and the father of Tutankhamen, a famous family. But he went down in history as the pharaoh who wanted to eliminate the old gods and replace them with
You know
a
what, maybe that's why I
single
don't know
god
him that well,
priests
because
took
I
offense,
mean, everyone's
and
heard of
he died
King
of
Tut,
unknown
and
causes.
I've definitely heard Nefertiti. I cannot say I am familiar with Anakin Skywalker,
Ahoy,
but
Matt.
I
The
also
statue's talking.
don't
The
consider
statue
myself
was talking?
remotely
Yes.
And
good at
what did
Egyptian
it say?
history.
It said it was.
I read some young adult novels on the subject. It definitely helped
That's
with the
a
gods,
very bad word.
but not so
I
much the pharaohs.
An English one. Don't you think it's odd that an old Egyptian statue speaks English?
Don't you think it's odd that a statue speaks at all?
That would have been my next question. And, is the statue talking to you right now?
Do you think I'm nuts?
No, of course not.
Yes, I do.
just thought you might have much better ears than me. Ears that can hear statues.
Some cop you are, Mr. Zellner. This is a mystery, and you're just making jokes.
You're right. It's just...
Don't you believe me?
Oh, You know what? I don't. But I will tell the kid I do, because I don't want to hurt Ron's feelings.
We both agree that a stone statue without a mouth or vocal cords cannot speak. Right?
I have no mouth, and I must scream the Raven edition.
Okay, that means you heard something else. And we have to find out what or who it was.
Roger.
I'm
wrong
almost
button.
a bit envious of you. Going up the Nile on a ship, it must be great.
Yeah, I guess.
You don't sound so keen.
I think my mom wants the professor to come too.
And you don't?
Of course not.
You can't tell me.
I call the
What if Mom
professor
marries
by
the
his
professor?
real name,
It
not
doesn't
my
work
real
with the
dad.
lady anymore. We'd have to move to London, and I'd have to go to a new school.
You could tell your mother that it's not okay with you. She'd never do anything against your will, would she?
I guess you're right. If I'm stubborn enough, she'll definitely send the professor packing.
Well,
Thanks.
that's not exactly what I intended. Having never been in a remotely similar situation, I'm not quite sure what you do in that situation. If your kid doesn't like the person you're dating,